I stared at my brother's text, each word searing through my chest like a fresh wound. Don't show up to Dad's 70th. You'll embarrass us all. If I see you near the venue, I'll have you escorted out. You're nothing but a failure. Ethan's message continued, his venom cutting deep. Typical Ethan. Ever the loyal golden boy guarding the Carter family image. Tonight's party at the Willow Lake Country Club was the social event of the season in Seattle. Tech investors, city officials, and industry bigwigs all gathering to honor Michael Carter, the man behind Cartech Solutions. Stay away, or you'll regret it, Ethan had warned, his threat a chilling echo of past rejections. Heaven forbid they find out that the daughter he shunned wasn't the disappointment he'd painted her to be. Another ping, this time for my stepmother, Laura. Ethan is right. Tonight's crucial for your father's partnership. Please don't create any drama. You've caused enough shame, she added, her words dripping with disdain. Drama. That's what they'd called it when I turned down the family's executive training track 10 years ago. I didn't want the catered path at Cartech Solutions. She didn't want a VP title gifted like a party favor. I wanted to earn my place in the world. So, I left, and they never asked what happened after. You threw away your future, Laura had sneered, her judgment final. Across my office, a plaque glinted in the sunlight. Tech Innovator's most disruptive founder under 40. Right beside it, a framed article from Tech Trend Weekly, O.C. Hayes and the quantum leap in sustainable energy storage. They didn't know Sophie Hayes was me. I'd taken my mother's surname after college, and while they were busy mocking my rebellious phase, I was in a lab designing the breakthrough quantum cell batteries that would upend the energy sector. The same technology Cartech Solutions was now desperate to license just to survive. My phone lit up. Ryan Lee, COO of my company, Haytech Systems. Everything's ready. Peak Ventures will announce the partnership at 9 sharp. Are you sure you want to reveal yourself tonight? This is your moment, he urged, his voice laced with excitement. I glanced at the invitation still on my desk with its embossed lettering and dramatic flair. A celebration of Michael Carter, visionary, builder, father. Yes, I replied, my voice steady. It's time. They'll never see it coming, I thought, my resolve burning. Ryan chuckled. Oh, and Victoria Peak said your presence was personally requested. Apparently your father's been begging for a meeting with the Haytech CEO for months. He's clueless it's you, Ryan added, his tone gleeful. He smiled. Of course he had. The electric energy market had left his firm behind. He needed my designs to stay afloat. I slipped into a sleek black dress, elegant but understated, no designer logos. Around my neck I clasped a small family star pendant. My mother's, the only piece of family I'd ever carried with me. Tonight, the entire city would watch as the unknown CEO, their beloved Michael Carter, had spent months trying to impress, stepped onto the stage and... I wouldn't need to say a word. This is for you, Mom, I whispered, clutching the pendant, my heart racing. She'd given it to me before she passed. Back when I was still the daughter my father bragged about at conferences and holiday dinners. Follow your heart, Sophie, Mom had whispered, tucking the silver pendant into my palm. They'll try to break you, she'd warned, her voice fierce, loving. Even if it leads you far from where others say you should go. Followed it, and now they'll pay. I vowed, my purpose clear. The Willow Lake Country Club shimmered ahead as my car rolled to a stop at the valet station. Inside, the event was already in full swing. Chandeliers glinting above Seattle's elite, laughter spilling over clinking glasses, and a massive banner stretched across the ballroom entrance. Happy 70th birthday, Michael Carter. At the check-in table stood Ethan's wife, Megan, looking regal and alert with her ever-present clipboard. Her expression froze the moment she spotted me stepping out of the car. Sophie, she stammered, flustered. You can't just walk in. Ethan specifically... You're not welcome here, she snapped, her voice sharp, accusing. Good evening, Mrs. Carter. I interrupted with calm precision. I believe you'll find I'm on the guest list. On the William Peak's office called ahead. You'll want to check your tablet. She hissed, her eyes narrowing with suspicion. Her fingers flew across the screen. Wait. Yes, you're listed. Mr. Peak said he specifically requested. How did you... This can't be right, she muttered, her confusion palpable. But I was already inside. Same marble floors, same orchestrated laughs, same air of quiet competition. It was the world I had abandoned. And it hadn't changed a bit. Laura stood near the bar, her voice bright as she showed off a new diamond cuff. My half-sister Ava clung to a 30-something hedge fund analyst, eyes wide with admiration. Ethan saw me next. His face fell into a scowl as he stalked toward me. "What part of stay away didn't you get?" "You're a disgrace," he growled, his words a public humiliation. "Lovely to see you too, Ethan," I said evenly. "It's a beautiful party. Security's coming," he muttered through clenched teeth. "Do you have 60 seconds to leave? Don't humiliate yourself. You'll ruin Dad's legacy," he spat, his anger boiling over. I glanced at my watch. "Actually, I think you'll find Mr. Peak will be here in 30 seconds, and he asked that I be here for the announcement." "You're lying," he sneered, his disbelief evident. Confusion clouded his face. "Peak? What could William Peak possibly want with you?" "You're nobody," he added, his voice dripping with contempt, right on cue. The atmosphere in the room shifted. Conversations faltered. Heads turned. A hush rolled through the crowd like a wave. William Peak had arrived. At 75, Peak didn't need to shout or swagger. His presence alone silenced the room. His investment firm, Peak Ventures, was the stuff of legends. Tonight, everyone knew he was about to unveil a major partnership. My father practically sprinted to greet him, hand extended like a man hoping to claim the spotlight. "William, so glad you made it. Let's talk inside." "This is my night," Michael said, his tone eager, oblivious. But Peak's eyes were scanning the room. And then they stalked on me. "Ah, there she is. The real star," he said loudly, his voice commanding attention. A beat of silence, sharp and absolute. William brushed my father without a second glance, walking directly toward me. "Or should I say, Ms. Carter?" he said, offering his hand with a smile. "It's an honor to finally meet in person," he added, his tone warm, respectful. You could have heard a champagne bubble burst. Laura's cocktail glass dipped. Ava blinked. Ethan looked like he'd swallowed glass. And my father turned pale. Ethan's mouth opened, but no words came. The threat of calling security was long forgotten. I don't understand," my father finally muttered. "How is this possible?" he stammered, his voice trembling with shock. He turned to William Peak with disbelief. "You know Sophie?" William smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling with amusement. "Know her, Michael? Your daughter is one of the most brilliant innovators in the industry today. She's a legend," he declared, his words echoing through the room. He paused, then looked around at the shell-shocked faces. "Though, judging by the room's reaction, I'm guessing no one here realized that Sophie Hayes and Sophie Carter are the same person. You've been blind to her genius," he added, his tone sharp, revealing. The silence shattered, literally as Laura dropped her champagne flute. It exploded across the marble like a gunshot. Still, no one moved. "That's not possible," Ethan said, stepping forward, his voice cracking. "She's been off the radar since she left the company. She hasn't done anything." "You're a fraud," he shouted, his parade palpable. "I've been building high-tech systems," I said coolly, stepping toward them. "That nothing is now valued at $5,100,000,000. I've outdone you all," I said, my voice steady, triumphant. My father's hand trembled slightly as he gripped the back of a chair for balance. "High-tech, the quantum battery tech company everyone's been trying to—" "You're the CEO?" he whispered, his disbelief raw. "That's right," I said, meeting his eyes. "The elusive CEO you've been chasing, the technology that could save Cartech Solutions from collapse. You raised her." William gave a polite cough. "Speaking of which, shall we proceed with the announcement? The world's watching," he said, his voice calm, authoritative. "Wait," my father held up his hand. "What announcement?" "What have you done?" he asked, his tone a mix of fear and awe. I took a step forward, letting the weight of the moment settle. "Peak Ventures is entering a strategic partnership with Haytech Systems," I said clearly. "Together, we're acquiring a controlling interest in Cartech Solutions." "I'm taking back what's mine," I declared, my voice unwavering. The ballroom burst into hushed chaos. Gasps, whispers, disbelieving stares. Ethan's face went red. "You can't do this. This is our company. You're stealing our legacy," he roared, his fury uncontained. "Actually," William interjected smoothly, "we can, and we are." He turned to the crowd. High-tech technology is a generation ahead of anything on the market. Every major manufacturer wants in. But Ms. Carter here, she insisted her family's company be given the first opportunity, a courtesy, not an obligation. She's saving you, he said, his words a stark truth. Laura pushed forward now, her voice sharp. Michael, you can't let her take over. She'll ruin everything we've built. Betray her! She shrieked. Her composure shattered. I laughed softly. Everything you built? I echoed. You mean the company hemorrhaging market share, clinging to gas-powered systems while the world pivots to electric? The company that's 3/4 away from bankruptcy? You've failed him, I said, my tone cold, cutting. My father's stoic expression cracked. Years of silence between us flickered in his eyes. Sophie, please, we can talk about this. I'm begging you, he pleaded, his voice breaking. I stepped closer, my voice low but firm. Now you want to talk? I asked. 10 years ago, I told you the future was electric. You told me to stop playing engineer and focus on real business. You called me a fool, I reminded him, my anger rising. When I brought you my early prototypes, Ethan called them cute sketches. You mocked my dreams, I said, my voice sharp, accusing. And when I left to start Haytech, Laura said I was walking away from my responsibilities. You said I'd amount to nothing, I added, my pain laid bare. I stood tall. Well, I haven't walked away. I've built something that matters, and I'm here to save the company that never thought I was worth listening to. I'm your only hope, I said, my words a challenge. Willem Peake stood quietly watching as the Carter family unraveled in real time. The undercurrents of pride, denial, and long-buried resentment weren't lost on him. The time for talking was 10 years ago, I said calmly, eyes locked on my father. Right now, it's about saving what's left of Cartech Solutions. You've lost your chance, I said, my voice resolute. I let the silence linger. You need Haytech technology, and I'm offering it. The only real question is whether you dismissed is now your only way out. Swallow your pride, I challenged, my tone unyielding. Ava, who had been unusually silent behind Laura, suddenly spoke up, voice uncertain. But all those times we invited you to family dinners, events, and you always said you were busy. You never cared enough to come, she accused, her voice trembling. I was busy, I replied. Building a company takes time, sacrifice. But no one ever asked what I was building. You were all too sure I was failing to even consider that I might be succeeding. You judged me without knowing, I said, my disappointment clear. William pulled out a crisp folder and placed it gently on the table beside him. The documents are prepared, Michael, he said. Haytech Systems will acquire a 60% controlling stake in Cartech Solutions. This is the future, he stated, his voice firm, final. I continued, clear and unwavering. I'll step in as CEO and begin implementing our electric vehicle roadmap across all divisions. We start production in 9 months, I said, my vision unshaken. My father looked dazed. And if I refuse? He asked quietly. You'll lose everything, he whispered, his fear evident. Then Peake and I will offer our tech to your competitors, I said without hesitation, and they'll be thrilled to take it. You'll be obsolete, I warned, my words a stark reality. Ethan grabbed his arm. Dad, you can't be serious. She's destroying us, he yelled, his panic rising. Be quiet, Ethan. The sharpness in Michael Carter's voice cut through the air like a blade. You've shamed us enough, he snapped, his authority returning. Everyone froze. Then he turned to me, really looked at me for the first time in years. The battery tech. It's really yours? He asked, voice softer now. Did I raise a genius? He murmured, his awe breaking through. I nodded and pulled out my phone, tapping into Haytech's internal system. Dozens of patent pilings, prototype schematics, and registered IPs lit up the screen. Every cell design, every energy modulation protocol, every cooling circuit. I met his eyes while you were pitying me for leaving. I was reshaping the industry from the ground up. I surpassed you, I said, my voice steady, proud. He took the phone with shaking hands. I watched as his expression shifted. Confusion, then awe, then something heavier, the weight of realization. His eyes brimmed with tears. Save it, I said, gently but firmly. We'll talk about the past later. Right now, I need to know. Are you ready to listen to your so-called embarrassment of a daughter? Will you trust me now? I asked, my question a final test. William Peake stepped forward again, holding out a pen. The room stilled. Even the string quartet had stopped playing with hands that trembled. My father signed the contract. "I've failed you," he whispered, his voice heavy with regret. Behind him, Laura's sharp gasp was audible. Ethan's fists clenched in fury before he turned and stormed out, dragging Megan behind him. "You'll pay for this," he shouted, his exit a futile protest. Ava simply stared at me as if seeing me for the first time. "Ladies and gentlemen," Peake announced to the stunned room, "please join me in welcoming the new CEO of Carter Haytech Industries, Miss Sophie Carter. She's the future," he proclaimed, his voice resonating with pride. The applause was slow, uncertain, but it was there. Beside me, my father stood in stunned silence. Laura's perfectly composed face was cracking. "You've ruined us," she hissed, her defeat evident. But I didn't look at her. Instead, I touched the silver star at my collarbone, my mother's. She had told me to follow my heart, and I had, all the way to this moment. "I've honored you," I thought, my mother's memory guiding me. It had brought me full circle, not as the obedient daughter they once hoped I'd become, but as the woman they never saw coming. Later that night, as the party dwindled into soft music and clinking glasses, I stood alone on the terrace, watching the Washington Hills fade into the dark horizon. My father found me there, his footsteps slow and hesitant behind me. "That night you laughed," he said quietly, stopping a few feet away. "You tried to show me your designs. I wouldn't even look at them. I broke your spirit," he admitted, his voice thick with guilt. "Didn't turn." "No," I replied. "You wouldn't. You crushed my dreams," I said, my pain surfacing. There was a long pause before he spoke again. "I was wrong about everything. I was blind," he confessed, his remorse raw. When I finally turned to face him, I saw not the titan of industry who had once dismissed me, but a man who had at last seen his own reflection clearly. "Can you ever forgive me?" he asked. "I don't deserve you," he added, his voice breaking. I looked down, my fingers brushing the silver star at my neck, my mother's pendant, the symbol of all the choices I'd made, of the distance, the pain, the determination. "It depends, Dad," I said gently. "Are you ready to learn from your daughter? Can you honor me now?" I asked, my hope cautious. He met my gaze and nodded. "Teach me." "I'm ready," he said, his commitment sincere. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't about proving others wrong, it's about proving yourself right. And once in a rare while, it even comes with a second chance to rebuild something broken, but on your own terms. The next morning, I stepped through the glass doors of what was once Cartech Solutions. The new logo above the entrance now read Carter Haytech Industries. As I walked the main corridor, I passed the old company slogan, still mounted on the wall in gleaming steel letters, "Driving Tomorrow's Future?" By next week, it would be replaced with something truer. Innovation runs in the family. Ethan's nameplate had already been removed. Laura's tastefully pretentious art installations were gone. The space felt lighter somehow, like the weight of years had finally been lifted. In my new office, formerly my father's, sunlight streamed across the desk. There, waiting for me, was a neatly wrapped package. Inside, nestled in soft tissue paper, was an old, weathered engineering textbook. My mother's. A sticky note marked a page near the back, her handwriting still so familiar after all these years. "For Sophie, who will change the world her own way." "You saw me," I whispered, my gratitude overwhelming, and I had. Not with permission, not with praise, but with vision, grit, and the quiet fire of a daughter who refused to be small, just not the way anyone had expected. If you've made it this far into my story, thank you for listening to the parts that were too painful to say out loud. For years, I was called a disappointment, ignored in boardrooms, and laughed out of family dinners. But I didn't let that define me. I kept building, learning, pushing, even when no one believed in me. If you've ever felt dismissed by the people who should have supported you most, I hope my story reminds you. You don't need permission to become who you're meant to be. You only need your vision, your conviction, and the courage to take one step at a time. So, I want to hear from you. What did this story make you feel? Have you ever been in a room where no one saw your worth until it was too late? Leave a comment for me. I'll read every single one. Your words matter. Your voice matters. And if you've had to walk your path alone too, then maybe we're not so alone after all. And here's my advice. Don't wait for recognition. Build anyway. Grow anyway. The applause might come years later or never at all. But the legacy you create, that's yours forever. Support those around you who are daring to do things differently. And if you see someone like me in your life, quietly working, overlooked, take a second. They just might be building something world-changing, because sometimes the person the world underestimates most is the one rewriting the rules. And to anyone who's still doubting themselves, keep going. You are not too late. You are not too much. And you are absolutely not invisible. You're just getting started. Sophie Carter. I am unstoppable, I thought. My legacy secured.